pacifism needs to be about keeping these commandments.
This is not what I expected out of them. The true Bible, the book of our fathers.
Right. The Most High has given us guidance on what we need to do.
Talk to Eli.
Talk to Nahshon.
Talk to Yikiel.
So like I was saying about the unity, I was making a point that all of the nations, they come together and their objective is to be unified against oppressing of us. And the point is, if their mission is to be unified against us, they seek our disunity.
Right.
I'm going to read something. And some of this stuff you might have heard before, but I took it a little further. I had write certain things down. So I wrote something down to kind of expand on what you've probably heard already. Many of us heard the term called might makes right, right? No, nobody has ever heard that before. That's Esau's term.
Okay.
We was actually, nobody ever heard that before.
Not me.
Esau, this is way back in the old school. I remember a white man said this. We was on 44th. We used to speak on the Rockefeller Center, like 47th Street and Avenue of Americans. That's the area. So we had a camp out there. White man came up and one of the brothers was speaking, and we was going over the point about the evilness that Esau had done to all of the nations, all the tribes. How they stole the land from the Native American Indians, smallpox and blankets. How they robbed people in Brazil, our brothers in Brazil, brought us on the slave ships. Brought all that information out, and the brother was getting on the white man, and the white man said, "Well, he just looked at it and said, well." We could justify our criminality because we got the power. We can say what's right and we can say what's wrong because we got the power.
Wow.
That's how he said it. So he said might makes right. If you're mighty, you could justify your criminality. Yes, you can do that. You can say, well, you can deem us criminals. Here we are the victims of slavery.
Right.
But you can call us criminals and get away with it and write the books because you're empowered to do so.
Right.
So that's where the term, when he said that, I was like, wow, that's a heavy statement. Might makes right. So I wanted to make that point. And this is what Esau believes. He doesn't care about right or wrong. He says his whole point is, if I'm mighty, I can determine I can legitimize that's the word I was looking for.
Shot
He
caller,
can legitimize his criminality. He can make it legit. He can make it legit. Ain't that some stuff?
Yeah.
Legitimize it. So he said, that's when he said, might makes right. So that's the term that he said. So I marked that down in my head when I heard it. So might makes right. And here's the other thing. If might makes right, then unity makes right. Y'all understand? Because might comes from unity.
Yes, sir.
Then unity makes might. If you're unified, that's where your mightiness comes from. That's the reason why, even though the Most High ain't superly, is not so much dealing with numbers, because the number that he's dealing with is 144,000.
Right.
So that's a number there. But he's coming with something like 200 million angels to deliver us. So numbers does matter in that term. So I'll leave it there before somebody get to thinking that we're basically just singing a song about numbers per se. But I'm just making my point so I can further my point that I'm making here.
Yes, sir.
So Esau says might makes right. That's his understanding. And if he understands that might makes right, then he understands that unity makes might or makes the mighty. J. Edgar Hoover said, hell no. Put my picture up there. I just sent it to you. J. Edgar Hoover basically said that there's other records too I wanted to find, but I'll use this for now. Put that up. Read that. What'd that say?
It says, fact check. Hoover labeled Black Panther's biggest...
This is from USA Today, so we didn't make this up.
Yes, sir. USA Today, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Fact check. Hoover labeled Black Panther's biggest threat among black extremist
now
groups.
This is what's I'm sorry, I'm jumping in. Read the rest of it. I'm sorry.
Hoover labeled Black Panther's biggest threat among black extremist groups in 1969.
In 1969. Okay, so that's what J. Edgar Hoover did. He labeled them the biggest threat against the U.S. That's basically what he's saying. The biggest threat among black, when they call us black extremists. See, when might makes right. The word extreme could be, because we can say we extremely want to get out of captivity, but they put the word extreme there as a negative connotation to like you're not supposed to be extreme with it. You're supposed to halfway want to get out of slavery.
Oh, wow.
No, we want to extremely get out of slavery.
Right.
We want to extremely get what's due to us
To the
in
utmost.
righteousness to the utmost. But they put that thing on it because another term they use is radical. They say radical meaning we are radical outside of the given brain that they want us to operate in. They say, well, you're not thinking the way I need you Negroes to think. That's how they talk. And you're radical. You're thinking outside of the radius of where I need your brain to be.
Right.
So then they label you radical, and you've taken offense to that. They call you extreme or extremists because they are taking offense to you thinking outside of the box that they put you in, the hog pen that they put you in. J. Edgar Hoover understood this. Read that again. I'm gonna lean back.
Yes, sir. Fact check. Hoover labeled Black Panthers biggest threat among black extremist group in 1969.
So that's what they said about the Black Panthers. So you can imagine what they're saying about us now. And they got us on all kind of groups and all this. Understand that Esau is Confederate in this thing. What's at the bottom? Move down. Move down. Slide it up. Okay. Go ahead.
The claim.
That's what I need right there.
As FBI Director
So here it is.
J. Edgar Hoover said Negro unity.
What?
Negro unity.
Unity. Go ahead.
Was the greatest threat to the U.S.
So that was back then. So that means that's exactly how they're thinking today. So any kind of little skirmish or squabble that you see that's going on in the black community, they're behind it.
Hey, Bishop. And why is he able to say that? Because they have the power, just like
Exactly.
you said. And all we're trying to do is, in 1969, is get out of the oppression,
Exactly.
that they was putting on our people and still are today.
Exactly.
But because they have the power, he can label as it's a threat or
It's
something
a threat.
bad.
It's a threat that you want to take the chain that I put around your neck.
Right.
You're threatening me because imagine them. I put the chain around your neck and you're taking it off, and then I call you a criminal for taking the damn chain off.
How dare you, nigga?
How dare you take that chain off and become a threat to me? That's the power to legitimize criminality. That's where we're at.
And what's that? 1969. Who was that? That was assassinated in 1969? Was it Martin or Malcolm?
I want to say Malcolm.
They both were assassinated.
He's saying 1969.
They both were assassinated before this time. Both of them were gone.
Right. So you see,
they both were dead.
And he still
Malcolm in 65, and I think King was in 68. 68.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah. So where was I at? So we got that right. So read that again. The claim.
The claim, as FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover said, Negro unity was the greatest threat to the U.S.
So black people uniting is the greatest threat. So it's no mystery as to why IUIC particularly. And I'm not saying this as to be braggadocious. I really don't give a damn about that braggadocious stuff because we all catching hell. We all trying to get out of captivity. But we get threats all the damn time. All the time. Because there's constant threats coming at us to shut this movement down, if you will, call it a movement. But we are really an organized nation. We're not a movement per se. We are an organized nation of God's people. That's what we are. So there is a concerted effort, an effort in concert by our enemies that are united together against us. That's what Psalms is about. That's why it says that in the Psalms. Read that one more time, and then I'm going to finish my point.
Yes, sir. The claim, as FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover said, Negro unity was the greatest threat to the U.S.
Say it's the greatest threat to. So basically, we're public enemy number one because we don't want to be in slavery. So understand that unity. So they're saying that the threat of us being united is a problem, but it makes us. The reason why it's a problem is because uniting underneath God, underneath Christ, is where your might comes from. You dig it?
Yes, sir.
If we are united in Christ, that's a problem. If all of our nation was united in Christ, that's a problem.
Yep.
That's what they said. That is a threat to Satan's kingdom, under Satan's authority, USA. That's what they're saying. That's the reason why there's so much effort to stop this. So let me just run through my things again. Might makes right. That's what the Edomite said when he was justifying or legitimizing his murderous past on what he did to our people and all the way up to today. Okay, might makes right. And then I came back. I'm saying now, and unity makes might. And if we united in Christ, that makes the mighty. Okay, and J. Edgar Hoover said, "Hell no, we don't want that." And that's the way. And basically, the pot that he's putting us in is how he thought about the Panthers back then. Okay. Now I'm gonna further go on and say that although unity makes might, what can we say after that? That means disunity makes slaves. Disunity makes slaves. I'm gonna run through that again. Might makes right, unity makes might, and disunity makes slaves. So they want us to be in slavery. That's the whole point. Give me Psalms. Give me Psalms chapter 83. Disunity makes you the perfect candidate for slavery. Because you're hating each other, you can't come together, you can't resolve issues, nothing like that at all, and everybody's divided, and that's where you could take those 5 separate digits and destroy the whole hand because they're all separated.
All I gotta do is grab one finger.
Just grab one finger,
bend it back,
and bend it back, and all the 4 is in trouble.
Mm-hmm. The whole body's in trouble.
Body's in trouble.
You want to start at the beginning, Bishop?
Start at the 4th verse.
Yes,
start
sir.
at the second verse.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 2.
The point is in 4 and 5, though. Read.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult.
Our enemies, all of the nations made a tumult. That means there's arguments among them on how to destroy the Israelites. So let me say it a different way. Could we find the? No, I don't want to digress. When I was talking about the scramble for Africa, all of those different nations had one goal: to take down the resources of the countries in that continent of Africa. They was having a tumult about it. That's what they was. When you say scramble for Africa, could you find scramble for Africa? Scramble. What did it say? Scramble for the resources. The Berlin Conference. The Berlin Conference. Scramble. Just put in scramble for Africa. It might just pop up. Scramble for Africa's resources. I should have gave y'all a thumbnail. A thing or something.
Saying it's called a what again? Scramble?
The scramble for Africa's resources. Just type that in. Click it. That's it. I'm looking at it right there. Is there any images on that? Okay, that's good. So we can put that one up there too. That picture there. Okay. All right. Let's just deal with that. There's other records. I had them, and I should have sent them to y'all. They actually coined the phrase "the scramble for Africa's resources." So they're scrambling. Some of them wanted more oil than some wanted gold, some wanted diamonds. They're scrambling because one said, "I want it all." Another one said, "Well, I want all, or I want it all." So they're scrambling. That's the tumult that's going on with the nations. Let me just put it a different way. Africa's resources is basically us, because we are a resource. When they put us in slavery, we was a resource. We still are a resource. And all of the nations are scrambling to make us a slave. They're scrambling. I want the Negro or the nigger as a slave. That's how they would say it. I want him as a slave. I want him to build my factories up. I want him to build my country up, and I don't want to pay him nothing. Well, another one said, "Well, I want to build him up. I want him. I want that." Put it up there. Y'all got it right there. Short. I'm looking at it. Put that one up there. That image on the side.
That one.
That one and the other one. I'm literally seeing the words "scramble for Africa." Come on. I'm literally seeing the words. Put it on the screen. Why are you hiding it? Put it up there so that people can see that I didn't make that up. Thank you. The scramble for Africa. Look at all those Edomites scrambling for those. Now show that side by side with the other picture. Show that side by side with the other picture. I'm breaking down what we just read in Psalms, because basically we're Africa in the sense of us having our resources. There was a clip with them both together, but that's okay. That's all right. Y'all did something else. I don't know. I saw it earlier. But anyway, Those right. That's it. Show that on the screen. You ain't got to dress it up. That's what I'm talking about. The scramble for Africa. They cut Africa up in all of these different areas, and different parts of the different Europeans were fighting over various resources. That's the tumult that they're having over the resources of Africa. Now we can take that off. I just wanted to bring that out there. And they're still scrambling. Somebody wrote. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so Britain, the pink, they put it back up there so they can see. Britain, the pink, they wanted gold or petroleum or gas. You know, France wanted something else. Germany wanted something else. They all scrambling, fighting for the resources over there.
Exactly. And they had to come to a peaceful resolution. To let so-and-so take gold, you take silver, you take bronze, you take crude oil, you take bauxite, you take diamonds.
Right.
They had to resolve that because that kept the unity among them. They said, well, we can do this. We're all Edomites. Mm-hmm. You take this, I take that, you this, and we'll all rob them all collectively, and we stay in power over all of them.
And then trade with each other.
That's what the EU is about, the economic union. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. The Esau understands this, but so-called Negroes can't figure this thing out.
Right.
So here we are. We today basically is that map. Our music, our dance, all of the different talents, our inventions, they're fighting over that. The music industry, Amalek run all over that. Different stuff that we do, all of the nations got a piece of it, taking that. Anything that we build or that we create is taken from us. And they agree to take it from us. They agree collectively to agree. You take their music, I'll take their sports, I'll take their this and that, I'll take their real estate, I'll do this, I'll do that. That's the tumult. They had an argument about it at first, and then they thought about it. They said, you know what? Let us work in a confederation collectively to rob them, that the name of Israel be no more in none of their remembrance. We all agree with that robbery. That's what the verse is saying. I just want to drop all that on you. Read that again.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
let's go back to the scriptures.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult.
Thy enemies make a tumult. They're arguing over what part of us to exploit. Who's going to take the black woman? Who's going to take the black man? How can we make the black woman a bed wench and such? How can we make the black man a buck and a breeder? How can we make him a sports running up and down the gridiron? How can we make him a what up, shoot him up in the gang? That's how they do. Right. How can we take the preacher and make him a clown and don't know what the Bible is talking about at all and destroy his people with lies? We are that resource. Because with all of that work that they do, we're producing for them big time. Like I pointed out a while ago. Mm-hmm. America is now more prosperous after slavery than during slavery because they have so many ways to exploit us.
Right.
Now,
so Bishop, how can we destroy them and benefit off of
that's what's happening right now.
That's their plot. That's
their plot, and they are in agreement. That's what they're talking about in their secret meetings. That's the kind of meetings they're having. That's the kind of meeting they're having. You had something else?
No, sir. No, sir.
Go ahead, read.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee. Now hold it. They that hate thee, the they is all of the enemies that hate us. Because we are the Africa, so to speak. We are all those. Put that map of Africa's resources. This is what we represent to the nations. This is what we represent to our enemies. Come on, stay with me. Put that thing up there. I'm looking at a map of Africa's vast resources. This is what we represent to them. Put that up there. Come on, don't make me wait. Yes, this is what we represent. It take y'all too long. You'll get me upset. I want to keep my flow going. Read it again. Get my thought back.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They that hate us have lifted up the head. So they're having a tumult over robbing us. Basically, what you're looking at with this map here is the different resources and the talents. I'm what's the word? Translating it to our, because we're not gold per se. Right. We're not iron. We're not petroleum. We're not crude oil. We're not uranium. We're not diamonds. You understand?
Right.
I'm talking about in a literal sense. Mm-hmm. But our talents and our gifts that we have as what's been robbed from us, our smarts, our brilliance, our dance. All of that is a commodity that they can use for themselves. So basically, we are that map to them, to all of the resources. I mean, to all of the enemies. Read it again.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee,
and they that hate the 12 tribes of Israel, go ahead,
have lifted up the head,
have lifted up their heads in unity. They've lifted up, they had a tumult at first, but now they are united as they lifted up their heads towards their God and against us. Go ahead.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They together have taken crafty counsel, in agreement with counsel. When you look at those what's that United Nations, when you see those big tables with all the Edomites sitting around it, yes, that's how they deal. Read that again.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
Against thy people, against the 12 tribes. Thy people is the Israelites. Read.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And they all in agreement have consulted against thy hidden ones. They are all in consultation against the 12 tribes of Israel. Read.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
They all said collectively, let us all gather together and cut them off from being a nation so that we can never be united. Go ahead.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Because your name Israel is going to unite you. That's the point there, so that we cannot be united. So if we're all separated and divided, that's those digits that I was talking about that Malcolm spoke of, that's separated, and they all collectively could take down one digit and bring it, and the rest of the digits going to fall. The whole body's going to fall. That's how the nations are dealing with us. And even to this day, we don't have enough sense to realize that.